Why I don't listen to the experts. We are now more than halfway through 2020, and still a disproportionate number of us cower at home and sleep and work and shop like scared little creatures who acquiesce to every new ordinance proclaimed by our dear leaders. After all, they tell us it's for our own safety. After all, they say if you don't want to mask up for yourself, do it for the protection of others. And what can one answer back without pangs of guilt and shame for being so selfish? Except that the pandemic has shown us what it is, who is most vulnerable and who not. It's among us, like many other common illnesses, and there's no point in pretending that anything we do at this point can possibly contain it. The time for masks and closed borders was back in March, not July. But the experts back then, 4 months ago, told us that that kind of knee-jerk reaction to close the border was, you guessed it, racist. That wearing masks was pointless, maybe even dangerous. Just stay at home for a couple of weeks so that we can flatten the curve, so that our hospitals don't become overrun, so that thousands of us don't contract the virus and die. And we listened because we were afraid, and we flattened the curve. But now the experts are reminding us that we're not out of the woods, that the Wuhan virus may have a second wave, that we must proceed cautiously lest we poke the sleeping beast. So what does that mean exactly? Well, for starters, in certain cities like Toronto, wearing a mask has now become the law. Tried going shopping lately? You can't try anything on, so what's the point? May as well just kill the real retail industry and put it out of its misery. Restaurants are expected to be a pleasant experience, no? But when you're being served by a masked, gloved, and oft shielded employee, it's hard to find the whole thing relaxing. And anyhow, with their limited ability to seat people, how are they expected to survive at all? But only the experts have a voice. Not the lonely seniors or other dependent individuals whose social contacts have been reduced to conversations across a plexiglass barrier at best, and no social contact at all in some sad cases. And certainly not the otherwise afflicted whose medical treatments have had to be postponed or cancelled altogether because all hands needed to be on deck just in case we had possible Wuhan virus victims. I guess their lives mattered more than the rest of us. These are the same experts who introduced thalidomide in the late 50s to help pregnant women experiencing symptoms of nausea that resulted in widespread birth defects and was eventually banned in 1962. The same experts who during the 1800s thought that residential schools were the way to go to integrate indigenous peoples into the European way of life, for their own betterment, of course. The same experts who tell us one day not to eat fat, but then to eat fat but not carbs, to drink milk but then not to drink milk, to not use butter but then use butter, and then destructure and reconstruct the entire Canadian food guide because the old one was no good and the new one must be much better, and on ad infinitum. They're shifting the goalposts all the time. And mark my words, in the years to come, new experts will find that wearing masks was possibly the worst thing that we could have done, and there will be many resultant casualties from various diseases we haven't even begun to think of now as a result of prolonged mask wearing. But we're expected to listen to the experts on how to behave during this pandemic, for our own good, of course, just like all of those other times that they were right, but not really. But our safety was always their priority, and we're all in this together, right? Right? Do what is best for you, in my humble opinion. Never mind the experts. They are all politically tied, and they don't even try to hide it these days. And as for you Twitter trolls who want to misconstrue what I say in my fun little videos, my message to you is pretty simple. I don't care what you say about me. Knock yourselves out. But be sure and do what the experts tell you, for your own good, of course.